The cold hard fact is that freeing this realm is probably just like being a healthy vegan. You know, one of the things we love about Yeshua is his amazing skills with analogies. And I thought, this is a pretty good analogy, but not only that, it's the same freaking problem on different levels and layers. Just like chemtrails is the same problem as fucking slavery on another level. Because it's all the same inner me. Just like there will be no freedom without doing the inner work on a grand level, like 20% of humanity, to even have a possibility for a little bit of a space cleared out for freedom and peace. Because, as I've said many videos, it's kind of a half-truth what the Killuminati, 1% robber barons, the Satanists, the adrenochrome consumers think. That the devil is God. And unfortunately, what all those in the Abrahamic cults, Abrahamic religions, and the scientism death cult think. Because this phony God, this extremely powerful master of mind control and technocracy and genetic experimentation, actually took a divine race that was known, according to Wes Penra's research, as the Christos humans, the sacred divine human race, and mixed in a little bit of his own DNA and unplugged 97% of ours, supposedly, and created these brains in a way that they need cholesterol. I don't know when that was. 1,000,000 years ago, according to the walk-in Lisa Renee's estimate. And so the idea that you could be a healthy vegan might have been true 2,000,000 years ago. And it might be true in the future. But right now, in the form of flesh suit or flesh sack that the devil so masterfully hybridized, to have a healthy brain, you must consume cholesterol that comes from other animals. Now that might be placenta or chicken eggs or duck eggs or some raw dairy. And I guess they have synthesized some kind of DHA out of seaweed. I don't know if that's real, but I may be wrong on this, but I eat fish. So, even worse, I'm one of these pescatarians or fishitarian who's a proxy killer who doesn't kill, I don't kill my own fish and cut off their heads. I'm no different. But I do honor the truth. And the horrific truth is the fact that the devil is a master geneticist who redesigned this thing to need cholesterol. Most of us are delusional in one way or the other. You know, one of the greatest teachers about the truth and OGs, you know, after G. Edward Griffin and Jordan Maxwell came out and David Icke, the next one was a Satanist high priest who quit the church and devoted 15 years making these long slideshows about the truth and how they do all the mind control. And his name was Mark Passio. And at least for many years, he's been a vegan who drinks beer. And he still says the Misfits are one of his favorite bands and sings in a death metal band, but it's called The Founders, about freedom, right? I mean, he did a lot of great work in exposing the truth. But he acts very angry and seems pretty unhealthy to me. Because it's kind of amazing he's been able to do the level of work he's done without cholesterol, really, with a starving brain. I think one of the people on his Great Work, the Great Work Action Network host, tends somewhere near him there in Philadelphia, takes care of chickens and he secretly eats eggs, I hope, Mark Passio says we're programmable objects, which I feel is obviously a idea he got as a Satanist high priest. It hasn't changed. But going back and research further than it seems that he might have gone, before the devil, Lucifer 4, Enki, or whatever the fucker Anunnaki god's name was, Yahweh, Yahweh, got here, back in the very ancient days, pre-history, pre-fake history, when we could be healthy vegans, it seems to me, especially I think partially due to having half Irish, Celtic or Irish roots, that the Namulu Christos race was a peaceful, harmonious, respectful, non-violent race before we were hybridized with, according to Penra again, the Syrians or these Wolfmen or whatever you want to call it, Anunnaki reptilian genetics, and they put the reptile brain in and gave us the nervous system or whatever kind of genetic tinkering the masterful engineer Lucifer 4 did to us to make us in these forms. And it seemed like in the beginning days when they gave us animal husbandry, ironically around the same era, probably in Atlantis, that they made bestiality a very taboo and heavily punishable crime, they gave us animal husbandry. They taught us how to keep chickens for their eggs and tend to cows and goats for their milk. Oddly enough, the idea for this talk came carrying my milk on my handlebar because my other bag was totally full, and I don't know whether it was laziness or just recognizing that my other bag was full and I didn't want to take it all out and put it all back in. This lady on the West Ashley Greenway said, "Holy cow!" I said, "Well, yeah." She was already far away by the time I responded. But in India, they think of cows as sacred animals. And I've heard funny stories that they wander around free. I've seen pictures of sadhus or Indian holy men, monk ascetics who had their own cow, and they could, I guess, just lay up under it and squeeze the teat and drink one of their 4 teats, and they say goat milk is healthier for humans because they have 2 teats. It's closer to human milk. And I only had 6 months of breast milk. I'm lucky to have had any, and so I'm probably deficient in colostrum, so some occasions I think I need to take a colostrum supplement. And, when it comes to being envious of Rockefeller, I've never felt that once. Except once when my friend David Bliss told me that Rockefeller they've had wet nurses around the clock, human wet nurses, where they could just have fresh human breast milk whenever they wanted. That made me jealous, honestly. There's another guy that was a brilliant singer that chanted Hare Krishna told me that he had a friend that had a baby, but the baby was out of town and her breasts were gorging, and that he drank her breast milk till he was, a cup of it or whatever, and it was the most blissful he ever felt, and then he passed out. So after buying milk from an older man barber with long hair, who doesn't shave it on the sides or any kind of, just long hair, a barber with long hair, I thought of the idea for this talk. So I think Passio is wrong in saying that we're programmable objects. Yeah, I think before these fuckers who invented satanic cults, Satanist high priests, adrenochrome, and even animal husbandry on the good side, and jihad, and they gave us our fucking crazy ass English language with all the multiple meanings of words and black magic spelling and all the insidious fucking evil crazy fucking inventions they gave us, and diseases like the one I have that seems to just about, with most cases, never go away. Oh, yeah, the devil, the gods of the Bible and the devil can invent things, but they're all evil things. So what have they really invented that was actually good? No. It was the real, actual divinity within humans that have created good things. The devil just created the containment system. The devil's just created the electronic fence and the helium reversal grid, the chemtrails, put shit over the stargates so we can't get out. I mean, evil genius to me is a fucking contradiction of terms. But if it's not, then God really is a genius. This leads to Mark Passio's definition of rights and morality. And I agree with this again, but in this realm, is it even possible? He said a right is something that doesn't inflict any harm on another sentient being. Morality is when you don't harm anyone else and you're harmless. And I've heard presentations where he said the bottom line is don't steal. But if you don't, confiscate that milk or those eggs, you might be a screaming, angry, nutritionally starved vegan too. So once again, the vegan, in this case Mark Passio's statements of morality are certainly true in a real world that wasn't a vampire-controlled realm in an idealistic world. Whereas my friend Joshua S. John feels that this realm is only a hell. He's more realistic about his diet and what he needs to have a healthy brain. He also consumes raw milk. And but sadly, I've heard him saying recently that he's been drinking beer. And I've had brilliant Capricorn friends who turned into devils when they drank. And alcohol is a depressant, and alcohol is in the Muslims' name for a certain entity, alcohol. And alcohol is known as spirits. And why do they call it spirits? Because very often, archons and other evil predator entities that feed off negative vibes easily, joyfully move in and take over alcoholics or even casual beer drinkers. What's beer? It's some kind of yeast, liquid, fermented yeast. It just feeds the candida, the physical parasites, and the etheric parasites out the wazooski. And yes, they could ramp up those suicidal thoughts. And how do you know that 96% of your fucking suicidal thoughts, if you have them a lot, are not already archons? Because yeah, it's natural to have those thoughts. But I'd say that this is why there's no shadow banning on your channel, because the devil loves this kind of despondent, nasty, wounded kind of thinking that, it's all hell. And am I calling you nasty? No, I think you're a beautiful person, but I think alcohol and I think the archonic introjects are nasty. And they use, most of us, myself included, probably, in moments of weakness, to spread around nasty thoughts, to spread around unawareness. And I've seen this in some of the most self-proclaimed enlightened voices on the scene. When I pissed them off or irritated them, I saw the Archon introject come in. Oh yes, it's got to be itchy while I'm making the video to prove my fucking point. Okay? Then I heard in his monologue today, Joshua brought up alpha gal syndrome. He said he's a little paranoid to be out in the look like really beautiful Arkansas forest because 2 of his friends got it. Millions of people have gotten this thing that he said the Anunnaki and Bill Gates designed. Yeah, probably was them. Because I've only washed this shirt once since I got it from my mommy. And it's gotta just make the fucking bacterium itch me while I'm making the video. Again, because that's what the fucking fake God wants. But it's a cool shirt anyways. Because it says the name of the beautiful town I'm in the subtropics. Yes, I am thankful for the warm ocean and that my sibling has amazingly been able to act decent and respectful for the most part and not flip out and, man, taking some hold of his erratic personality and allow me to stay here for I don't know how long it's going to be, but man, long enough to enjoy that warm ocean. Many occasions now, and I'm thankful. I'm certainly thankful to be here in Charleston, where I was born. But why did I bring that up? Because if it's really healthy to be vegan, then why would they design a disease that they could infect people with ticks? Get the wild people going out into the forest that forces you to be a disease. Alpha-gal, it makes it so that you're allergic to meat and dairy. They genetically designed these ticks to make Bill Gates and these other people, whoever, some evil motherfuckers with a lot of money. Why would they design a disease that a tick can give you? And many say that Lyme disease as well, that would force you to be a vegan. The 1% criminal robber barons, the Dark Lord's minions, the powers that never can be without stealing from us all, want you to not only to eat their fake GMO fake meat, but vegans make better goyim. Vegans make better farm animals. Vegans don't have, unless you're talking about Pasio, the healthy enough brains to stand up against it. My cope, on the other hand, for years was ganja alchemy every single day. Now I take the weed, the cannabis, ganja 1 or 2 days a week, once a strong. I go without dreams, and I don't have to dream I'm in the fucking prison yard once or twice a week. Yay! Yeah, I think it must be that everyone has their copes. If I didn't do that, I'd be pretty well fucking depressed and miserable as hell. Even when I'm swimming in that warm ocean. Because the thing about having the sun sign Sagittarius or Ophiuchus and all these several other planets in Sagittarius is the grass is always greener. Your brain is always, the mind is always going, wow, it's going to be better over there. I want to go over there. I want this next thing. Ambition that never quits. I need something else. Well, what if the grass is greener where I'm at? What if this is the best I can do? I'm not saying it is, but can copes prevent exit out of the memory wipe, forced reincarnation, wheel of samsara, torture chamber, forcing you to be a fucking financial slave again? Maybe copes, maybe every cope can fuck it up. Maybe you've got to be totally sober and pure, totally without any addiction or any desire to come back here to get out. Having to use the internet, like YouTube, Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, or these stupid social media so-called things, to actually talk about the truth and have friends and to actually meet discerning people, is pretty well proof that all of us who have to go online to find actual real pneumatic souls, we're all fucking brainwashed, including myself, unless I change. I meet them in real life, so-called, three-dimensional, but it's fucking... And Charleston is a very conservative town, a military college town. It's... My Saturn line on the Descendant runs through here. That's fucking way too rare here. That's why I need to leave. Passio yelling at you until you become moral. Nothing is going to change. Versus Keith, the rebellious meat puppet, Sorelli, the enlightened sage now he's called, the Aquarian sage, just talking about how we're all victims of these violent psychopath, evil gods. Then I watched Geraldine's shadow work talks. Which of them are more one-sided? Well, the truth is sadly, we've all been victimized by these filthy monster vampire fake gods. And there's things that we've done to comply and agree with it, and it is our fault to some degree, but we can't fucking get out of. We can't go to the Stargate and just peacefully leave the flesh sack. We can't just go without eating cholesterol and be healthy. The truth is that we have to face our own responsibilities, the shadow work, to extract the cluster B filthy pathologies out of our personality if it's in there. somehow get over the codependency or the hyper or fake independent DIY thing. I have to do it all myself. Or, to recognize that nobody has eyes in the back of their head and nobody's going to tell you the whole truth. Everyone that's in a fucking flesh sack with a voice has delusional or blind spots. Passio can give you half the truth, and maybe Keith can give you the other half. I don't know. Or maybe put together, they both don't even give you the whole picture. Why is it that collectively speaking, it seems like nothing has changed positively since 2020 and 2021, and the whole, as the fake shaman Danan said, the enemy showed his face. The same reason why I bring together the analogy of if we can all be healthy vegans, then we can free the world, because Tyler from the Journey to Truth podcast was wrong. He said their biggest problem is they're so cocksure they shoot themselves in the foot every step of the way. No, they're so cocksure because they have the motherfucking tyranny over you and me and just about most of us in one way or the other. And it ain't gonna change because the devil's fucking tyranny is so powerful and vast. Not just because of the Killuminati, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, and all the other secret societies that they run around the world. That's just the scaffolding. Culturally, psychologically, just the mainstream media and the YouTube and Rumble. No, that's just the digital part of the scaffolding. As a race, we've been trauma bonded. Look that up if you don't know what that means. We've been Stockholm Syndrome and trauma bonded, just like the Jews to begin with, to these motherfucking vampire powerful ETs for thousands and thousands of years or a million years. And yes, it's possible that at some point we could have the gnosis awareness or technology to live healthy as vegans, and we could be free in this realm. But it is a pretty motherfucking perfect analogy because it's the same fucking enemy, inner me, that we're fighting against. Because it points out similarly how fucking good the devil has been at hijacking these fucking flesh sacks and this realm. Anything's possible, but we're going to have to go through massive structural change, massive awakening, massive clearing out of bullshit for that to occur. What can you do? Well, free your house, free your apartment, or if you sleep in your car, free your car, your van. Free whatever you can, starting with the inner work, with your thoughts. Try to begin to learn to recognize the difference between your thoughts and the Archon parasite. And if you're drinking beer, you probably don't fucking do that. Because that's going to just make it, probably thousands of times more difficult. Purify. Realize doing your best to be really relatively moral trumps Abrahamic and government cult believers' moral relativity, like it's okay to go blow people up in Iran for God. Okay? Recognize how fucking stupid that idea actually is. And don't torture yourself by being a fucking vegan when we don't have any way to do it in a healthy way. Don't get those tick bites. Learn to discern and have respect toward the true creator within you, who prior to these fake gods getting here didn't know what harm was and would never harm you. Except for agreeing or allowing Yaldabaoth or not knowing how to stop it. When it comes to the whole cholesterol thing, I used to have these long philosophical talks with a woman in Santa Cruz named Holly, and it kind of makes me want to cry a tear when I think about it, because she was a really beautiful soul, a little bit older than me physically. She was raised as an orphan, like, what do you call it, Eurasian, like partially Oriental, pretty face. And she was 5 classes away from getting a degree in psychology from UCSC, and then she trained to be a firewoman or fireman, and I think she got raped or something happened there that really traumatized her. She became homeless, and she would sleep on a bench with a bunch of grocery bags. She was really mentally ill. She would flip the fuck out if you contradicted her in certain ways, but she could just peacefully debate things with me for like 2 or 3 hours, and it was sad. Like in her, I don't know, late 30s, early 40s, she got really bad gout. I mean, that usually never happens to somebody who's young. But she disappeared out of the scene right when they implemented Proposition 1 in California, which was a fucking crazy rule a few years ago that got rid of all the speed freaks who threatened to kill you out of the blue, because it was a law that anyone who was really extremely mentally disturbed, mentally ill, homeless, they could be taken in to care court or taken to, I don't know, locked up into some facility, and I think they got her. But she would kind of, in an annoying Pollyannaistic kind of way, like a Californians can be on occasion, she would have these long debates with me and play the devil's advocate and see it from my side. And I was like, ugh. But she told me she had a friend in Southern California who raised chickens and dairy goats and did not harm them at all, and was very loving to them. And the goat, I think the goat, they didn't put the goat in that wooden holder thing even, like it would just, the goats would allow this man to let him milk them, and you know, the goats and the chickens were not at all harmed. So she raised the possibility that, yeah, maybe you can get your necessary cholesterol in a way that doesn't harm animals, which I thought was an interesting point. And 2 of the biggest brainwashing schemes Passio is exposed. I've already gone over the first one, moral relativity. The other one is solipsism. Recognize solipsism for what it is. It's taking advantage of your fucking trauma. It's taking advantage of your fucking childhood or whenever it occurred wounds, your social wounds. And your paranoia if you're into weed. Oh, some horrible shit happened, so I can never tell. I could never be certain if any other humans are real or not. Trust me, I'm fucking embarrassed to say that I empathize and have compassion on this feeling. Especially when the vast fucking majority of my real friends are all online. But it's not, I recognize also the only way I'm going to believe in fucking solipsism is if I'm socially unhealed. Okay? Recognize solipsism for what it is. A fucking mind control technique for the discerning and wounded amongst you who aren't in a stupid motherfucking club that wants to rule the world. Because as Passio said, their fucking satanic hive mind is not so socially retarded as to believe what they try to force on you themselves. Organize peace in your immediate environment. Yeah, if you can. Make friends outside of the matrix and not online. I mean, Joshua, I would say, it seems to me like he's my friend, but it's very difficult to have friends online because you don't really know them. You've only known them, no matter how raw and open-hearted they are, you've only known them from their voice in this case. Can humans really be healthy as vegans? Yeah, like before these fucking Anunnaki got here, like a couple million years ago, or maybe in the future. Can this realm really be free? Can you exist in your flesh suit and be free from tyranny and oppression, mind control, forced into the memory wipe system to come back and do it again? Yeah, potentially. Anything's possible. But it's going to take a lot of immense structural change. We're going to have to face the devil in the mirror and in the subconscious mind and in the government and in our family and in our fucking diet and all this shit on so many levels, so many different levels, that these fake gods, these morally retarded, spiritually repugnant vampires who are masters of mind control and coercion and terrifying have taken over. Not just the surface level, not just the obvious.